Is this weather a bit much? Probably so. But am I a bit much? Obviously. I hope the audio is not going to be bad today, and I probably shouldn't have even said anything because that's going to make you more aware of it. But my neighborhood is having some like fiber optic put in, which is so exciting because then my internet might be faster. But of course, they choose a nice, glorious, beautiful filming day to install and be digging. So we're gonna try to power through this, you guys, because I had the idea. I was like, you know what I should do? I don't think I've ever done this, where I, at year end, talk about all the palettes that I've gotten this year and let you know my thoughts. And then I realized, I was like, no, this is not gonna be a very long video, you guys, because I can't imagine that I got that many palettes this year. Girl, when I tell you, the cup runneth over. Apparently I have 20 palettes from this year. Who knew? And that's not including all of the things I've already decluttered. If you've not checked out my declutter series, do it, friends, because that one is just a relaxing time of watching people declutter. I don't know why I enjoy those so much, but so many of you guys do. So let's talk about the palettes at year end, what I have in my collection just from 2024. This does not include everything else in my collection. This is just what I've obtained in 2024. Some of these products I totally forgot about. Oops. And some of these products I was like, oh my gosh, these might be ride or die, like end of, best of kind of things. Let's get the small guys out of the way because we know that the bigger palettes are probably where I've given a lot of attention to. But I will say some of these smaller palettes that I do have in my collection have been really mighty and super helpful for my easy days. Starting out here, I have some Sigma eyeshadow quads. Caramel apple and creme brulee have definitely been something I added in this back half end of the year. And I am wearing one of the not the shimmers, the mattes. I think it's salted caramel in my crease today. The Sigma shadows for me have become standouts at year end. I had not had a lot of opportunity to play with Sigma shadows until this year, and y'all, I am loving the blend. I am loving how everything applies, how well it lasts, how well it also marries not just with its own formula, but other formulas as well. So I really like these. These are some top palettes for me. And now the sweet mailman is going by with all of these workers out here, and I just feel like I'm on display. Another small palette that I just got for my birthday, and I kind of love her, is a Vizzy Art palette. This is a little quad in Isolate. I don't know how to say the fancy ass names, but obviously she is a neutral lover's dream. I do have the shimmer, this shimmer up here on my eyes today. Y'all, she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She is the moment without being too much, but being just enough. Vizzy Art has been a formula that I have really loved for a super long time, and I've only now started to invest more in my collection with it, so you're gonna see more to come. But this I'm super proud about because I did get it on sale too, and I love a good quality high-end formula on sale. Another tiny little palette that I did receive earlier this year was from Physicians Formula. This is their Butter Believe It eyeshadow, and honestly, when I was kind of looking at this, for some reason it wasn't catching me as much as some of my other products, even though it's clearly in the same color story. But when I applied these shadows, I love them. I think I did a shorts tutorial with you with one of these. I really liked it. I was surprised by how well and how punchy the shimmers and the mattes are. Now, because this is a similar color story to some of my higher end products, I don't know if this will make it through all of 2025 necessarily. And I am thinking about doing a declutter in my eyeshadow palettes specifically very soon. This is really good if you are a drugstore babe and you're looking for a good, neutral, fast, easy, small palette. This got you. Ofra! I got on the Ofra PR list this year, and that is something I do not take for granted. A lot of you, the reason I got on this PR list was because of you guys. You guys really, at this time last year, I do believe, really hammered them, and you were like, please, give our girl Nichole some love. She would love to be able to get on your PR list to review more things for you guys and, you know, share some discounts with you guys. And some of my smaller palettes that I have received from them are really good. Now, some I do like more than others. I'm always honest with you guys. This palette here is Let Your Heart Guide You. This one is so, like, do you not think of Valentine's Day between the color story and the name of this? So beautiful. I love this punchy little highlighter here that you can wear on the eyes or on the face. These are the kind of color stories I tend to wear more in the spring. So I haven't worn these maybe more in this back half end of the year, but in the spring, I really liked this one. The formula is really good with Ofra. Even though I'm on their PR list, I told you ahead of time, I do love their highlighters, and I've really started taking a love for their shadows. Look at this color story. Is this not the perfect like fall, warm, summery even vibe? This is their signature Luxe palette, and this one is one I have used quite a bit this year because she is really good. I like these like burnt brown orangey tones. On my skin, that works really well, and I really find this formula blends super well and it lasts. Girl, this is the collab with Jody G, and oh my gosh, this is her Resilient palette. Not only do I love this for a dramatic look, it's also super innovative and nothing like I've ever seen before from Ofra, which hats off to her for making this collab, because this is something that really fills a niche in the brand, because you love a lot of their stuff, but this one really stands out as different, and you gotta love that. This is perfect for like a New Year's Eve look. Right? You see it. I also love the fact that she's called this the Resilient palette because she wants to empower other women, really wants you to remember, even during this time of year, because this time of year can be really hard for people, and this product did come out towards the end of the year. Remind yourself that you are resilient and you can truly get through anything, even on those days that you're not sure you can. She really wanted that message to be pushed through. I'm so lucky to call this woman a nice friend too. So I love this palette. And yes, I'm absolutely gonna say I am biased on the top of the fact that I love her, but I love the messaging and I love the show-stopping ability that she has been able to provide with this palette that is so, like, I don't know, groundbreaking for what Ofra already has in their collection. So good. I did not mean to do these back to back. It's just kind of how I ended up pulling them. But let's talk about another collab with another amazing friend of mine. This is the Sweet and Sassy palette from Hot Mess Mama. If you know Rhonda, you know that pink is like one of her signatures. Are you a Vanderpump Rules fan? Because I think of pink, I think of Rhonda, and I think of Lisa Vanderpump. So combine those two together and you get this palette. This is so good. I love this, and I will be using this again specifically at those lovey times of year with some Valentine's Day looks, y'all. I think this is so sweet. I also like to pop into this palette with other palettes as well. This shimmer shade is gorgeous here. This is the Sweet and Sassy shade, which is like a topper for her. Love this. But also, I really like this other shade over here. It is really beautiful. It's kind of like a coral tone that I like to pop into the crease and outer corner of my eye looks in those warmer months of like spring into summer. So good. I love how it blends and marries. Look how good that looks. For my pals at Ofra, if you missed out on any of these or anything otherwise that you've seen me talk about this year from Ofra, because there's been plenty with highlighters, powders, blushes, you name it. I've got so many great things from Ofra that I am going to be talking about in my year-end like best of videos. So you can definitely use my discount to get anything that you're wanting, holidays, New Year's, year-round, with my code, and save some money. Save 20% with the code Nichole. Super easy, barely an inconvenience as you're checking out. This next palette was able to introduce me not only to a nice, fun, compact, travel-worthy palette, but also a brand new indie brand to me. Not to the world, but to me. And I have fallen in love with Nomad Cosmetics. This is the travel palette from Nomad. And when I tell you, I discovered this at the same time I was traveling. So now it is a core makeup memory for me on not only a great brand trip that I did with the content creators and friends earlier this year, where they introduced me to so many amazing indie brands, but also I got to add this sweet baby to my collection. I have not stopped using this palette since September. This is so lovely. I have fallen in love with a lot of products from Nomad, but this palette has definitely been a standout for me. I love these shimmers. The mattes are clearly something that I reach for regularly, like daily when I'm doing my eye looks. But when I want a shimmer, honestly, there are a few palettes that really stand out to me. This is definitely one of them because these shimmers are so good. They are consistent, they are bold, and they are beautiful. I will actually be getting a Nomad code and link for you guys in the new year. I'm really excited. I'm working with their team behind the scenes. This is not sponsored. This is just me literally pursuing a brand that I found out about this year, being like, I want to talk about you more. Can you give me a code to give to my friends to save some money? And I wasn't expecting anything more than that. And they said they're likely going to put me on their PR list for 2025, which I was not asking for. I didn't expect, but I'm so excited because I have truly, just like in the wild, learned about them and now want to talk about them and give you guys discounts. Stay tuned to be subscribed for those good details. And this one's new to my collection, so it feels a little bit like a cheat, but this isn't like a best of video, so I guess it shouldn't feel like a cheat because this palette came to me in 2024, like a week ago, in a boxy charm. And I will tell you right now, it has bumped itself to the top of my use right this second on your face list. I'm wearing her today, if you're curious. And before anybody sasses and says, you already said you wore something else earlier on your eyes, I mix and match palettes all the time. I feel like I have to say that because in one of my year-end videos a few years back, somebody called me a liar for saying I used like 2 or 3 palettes in an eye look. And I was like, what do I get for lying from that? What good does that do to anybody? I don't know. But I do that all the time. If you don't, give it a try, you might like it. Long story long, this is my new Natasha palette. This is the Rose and Wood palette. I saw this palette and I said, is this the best palette we got this year from BoxyCharm? I think it might be. I gave you guys a full look with this palette on my recent videos. Go check it out if you missed it. I am wearing today this dark shade and this dark shade. I don't think I have on any of the shimmers, no, because the shimmer I have was from Vizzy Art. Because again, I mix and match. But I just used the dark tones today in today's eye look. I love it. It's at the line, it's around the perimeter here. I think this is great. I think it's so good. Natural, but smoky and sexy, but still natural and next door girl-like. I don't know. I just love it. I do. And this is a new palette that I have an obsession with. So you'll probably be seeing this in the year-end videos too. Hard to say, but probably so. I forgot about this one. This is one of the palettes I forgot about. Now hear me out. I think it has to do with the fact that my palette drawer, again, runneth over and I need another declutter. I know I did a full declutter series this year. Have you seen it? My palette declutter was my most viewed video, I think, of the year as far as my beauty videos go because I did like a half palette cut earlier this year. But by the time I got this palette, I had gotten more palettes in apparently, because I didn't think I got that many palettes this year, but I did, and things got a little crazy down in that drawer over there. Down there. So what I'm gonna have to do is organize, sort, declutter, I don't know, because I forgot about this Tarte palette. And a lot of you guys know, I love Tarte's eyeshadows. I feel like we don't hear about them a lot anymore because they're not the it girl of the moment, but this is the Tarte Juicy palette. This palette came with a icon box that was curated by Lisa Vanderpump, and with the pink tones of the palette, the pink tones of the shadows, you get why. The Amazonian clay palettes for me have always been some of my favorite formulas from Tarte. So when I got this again in my collection, I was like, I feel like this is like re-meeting an old friend that got a glow up because this is a whole new palette for me. I think this performs really well. I feel like some of these more rosy tones that are a little bit more dusty rose don't always look the best on my skin tone. So I did want to have some time to play with this, so I haven't really reached for this much. One, because I kind of lost it. Two, I think of the dusty rose shades that don't always work well with me. It's gotta be a little bit more saturated for me to really like see it on my skin. But I love the formula and love the quality. I just wonder if I'm gonna get much use out of this. So I don't know if this will last through 2025. I guess we'll find out. Only time will tell. Because I do feel like if something's really good, I immediately start reaching for it again and again and again. Case in point, case in point. And that did not happen with this palette, so keeping that in mind. Okay. I have been a matte girly. I have loved matte eyeshadows suddenly, out of nowhere, with, I guess, the evolution of how makeup styles have changed. Because I used to be shimmer all day long kind of girl. And then I was pulling back, and I was going way more towards those matte, neutral, easy breezy looks, which is, you know, kind of similar to today, but I do have a lot of good shimmer on there. But I was introduced to a new love this year that has stolen my heart because I have shiny object syndrome. Click the like button if you can understand this, where you see something shiny and you are immediately distracted. It's a squirrel kind of moment, right? So when I learned about the Fantasy Cosmetica shadows this year, I got 2 palettes from them, again, on the Creators and Friends trip that I'm so grateful I got introduced to such great indie brands. I immediately was like, how did I not know about you? I feel like I have failed you and I am so sorry. The Nude palette was the first palette that I looked at and was like, give it to me. These shimmers are so good. Not only do they apply like butter, but they also have this iridescent vibe to them. Look at that. Look at that I have not seen in so long. This one's gonna blow your mind because not only am I applying that with my pinky, but look at the shift. Look at the shift. Then I saw the Barred palette and I was like, put it in the cart, put it in the cart. Because they did ask us which palettes we wanted and I knew, but I also didn't know because I had never touched these shadows to really know what I was about to receive. And let me show you what I was about to receive. These might be my favorites. Look at this. Look at this. Talk dirty to me. Look at that. That was with my pinky. Look at the pull. Look at the consistency. This is all formula. It is like goof proof for swatching, but also being on the eyes. Oh, I want to eat it. I want to eat it. So Fantasy Cosmetica not only stole my heart with the shimmers, but I also have to say these matte shades are really good too. Bada bump. Look at that. Look at that yellow. You know how hard a yellow is to make that punchy? Come over here for an orange moment. Yep. Look at her. Look at her. I fell in love with them. And again, I was like, Fantasy Cosmetica, would you be able to give me a discount for my friends? And they said, here's 10% for your friends. Use code NicoleFisher10 when you check out with them and save 10%. I love these. I have done swatching videos on my shorts with them because just look. When I love something, I can't hide it. You clearly know my voice changes, my face changes. Don't pause me in some weird position and then send it to me because that'll hurt my feelings because I know I make weird faces when I get excited. The video's already over 20 minutes long. I gotta keep moving. I found this in the wild while shopping at Marshall's after I had been given some Sigma palettes from Sigma themselves at the Creators and Friends event, and I was like, new best friend, I already know your formula is amazing. Let's look at this. This is the Fiery palette, and I was using this quite a bit once fall hit, especially because it feels like at the end of summer leading into fall, that's when the vibrant shades for me want to come out, but also we've got a lot of good neutrals to be able to play with some fiery shades. This was great for my collection, especially as I am learning about new formulas such as this one. Not new to everybody. I know I was a little late to the boat. That's okay. And I got it for a really great price because I got it at Marshall's brand new. So I always love doing a little bit of like, it feels like thrift shopping for makeup, but it's new. I don't know how else to articulate that with Marshall's and TJ Maxx, but I think you know what I'm saying. Okay, this one I totally forgot about. Totally. And I don't even remember what the inside looks like. Let's talk about it together. So this is the Eloise Goddess palette. This is a palette that came to me in a subscription box. It is still here, so either I've not done a declutter since, or it made it through a previous declutter. I can't remember which it is. Just by the packaging alone, I'm envisioning more like pastel type colors, but I can't even tell you what's inside this palette. Couldn't tell you right now. So let's just rediscover it together and see. Oh yeah, I was thinking about this palette because of these shades. I was really intentionally thinking of an eye look to pursue these 2 shades. I do remember this because I did like that it had some good nude shades in here as well. Okay. I do remember her. Just, you know, out of sight, out of mind in the drawer that is just like an abyss right now. Do a little bit of swatcherooskies here for you. Ooh. Okay, so here's the thing. This is beautiful, but it's definitely more of a muted shift than I was getting from these fantasy palettes here. So that might be why once I did receive these, which I think came after getting these, I got distracted again with shiny object syndrome. It happens. But these are really good shadows as well. And I did really like them. So I kind of need to organize my makeup drawer so I can actually see things that I like. These are my Cleona Shadows, and they are all individuals, and yes, it's not full yet. And yes, I've stained my fingers with all the swatching. But these are also stunning and super pricey, but beautiful shadows. Ignore the stains, okay? We're just gonna go the other way. Look at that. Look at that. You can see that from space. Blue action, a little pink action. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at these. I feel like these are like a desserty topper on any eye look. I have become obsessed with these Cleona shadows. I feel like I'm adding a collection. It's like collect them all. So I'm going to be filling this up. Trust your girl here. Really loving these and can't wait to get some more in 2025. They are a touch loose. So what I like to do is pack them down. Pack up, look at that. Packed for punch. All right, let's talk about a brand I already talked about, but it's so good I have to tell you. I spent my own doll hairs on their limited edition, very fancy palette that I can't pronounce, but it looks like the word siren and then other things. This is the Vizzy Art palette. Now this one is only $44, again, limited edition. Normally their palettes are like 80 bucks, and the other ones that I have are all matte palette, and this one has shimmers and matte, and I fell in love with this. This one I like to use in tandem with the little mini guy I showed you earlier. I think they are a great little combo. I definitely rediscovered some love this year for brands that I have had that are bougie, but I was able to get them on a deal. And I had never, ever, ever gotten to try their shimmers before this year, specifically with this palette. So I got really excited. Again, I'm wearing this little palette here from Vizzy Art on my lids in the shimmers, and they're so good. For someone who had never gotten to try their shimmers and now has double palettes, obsessed. This is an Ofra mini mix palette, again from my babe here, Rhonda Hot Mess Mama. This is one of her older collabs, but I did receive it this year in PR with Ofra, and this palette is a neutral lover's dream, but it also has a great ability to be a travel palette. We have a highlighter, we have a blush, we have a bronzer, we have eyeshadows. I did travel with this on weekend trips and it was great. I had everything in one, good to go, quite literally. That's why I do love these type of palettes from Ofra. I have quite a few of them that I've gotten through the years that are a combination of things like this. They're mixed palettes. I recommend them, especially if you like to travel with quality products and just have it all in one. Okay, a purchase that I did this year that I went back and forth between two different palettes to get because this is a pricey brand. And I'm also very conscious where I spend my doll hairs when it is time to invest in a good palette. I looked at the warm palette and I looked at the nude palette from Natasha, and I ended up getting the nude palette because I really felt like for me that was the color story that I was going to gravitate to the most ongoing through time. The warm palette, I feel like I've been very much into more nudes and neutrals along with some warms, so I didn't want a full palette of that because this did support the warms as well because you've got some warms, but they're mostly nudes. You know what I'm saying? We've got some cool nudes, a little bit warmer nudes. That baseline is here for a very natural, snatchral look. I love this palette. I have traveled with this palette. So happy to say nothing broke, nothing cracked. I really love my Natasha Shadows, as many of you know. So when I saw this palette coming out, I was like, ooh, this is a time for me to invest in something that I will use and love. Because last year I invested in the more cool toned. So I was so happy to have this one, the nude palette, to pair with the cool tone palette. I think it's the Glam palette. So I love my Natasha Shadows. So I don't buy all of them. I just buy the ones that really speak to me that I know I will use and reuse. I know a lot of people here on this platform tend to just buy a lot of stuff from Natasha in general because her formulas are great. But for me, I don't want to just buy something to review here if I know I'm not going to use it long term because they're pricey and I don't want that kind of waste. So I would much rather just be more particular with my purchases, which I know is how a lot of my longtime subscribers are as well. You'll buy the good stuff, but you want it to be something you would use and love for a long time. And that's what this palette was for me. And I could also extend that same conversation to this Vizzy Art palette. Like I said, I had not pulled the trigger in so long with buying my own Vizzy Art. The other one I got was from a subscription box. So being able to get this, you know, that's when it feels extra good. Two more palettes here. I know this is super long, you guys, but this palette has become a new favorite for me on the back half end of the year. This is the Big Sigma palette, the Ambiance palette. And I won this on my girls' trip at the Creators and Friends event playing, oh, you know, those of you that were sick millennials back in the day, when we would stay home from school, we'd watch The Price is Right. You better believe I won that. This is so cute. I love, see again, and these are the warm colors. So I also didn't feel like I needed to invest in another warm palette because these have some great neutrals, some great warm tones. This is a beautiful one with a dual-ended brush. I've used this palette quite a bit, either as a standalone or in tandem with others. And yes, I've traveled with this one too. The girl's done a little bit of traveling this year. Not a ton, but when I have, I've taken the good stuff I can trust. And the last palette, again, is from Nomad. This palette I received on the trip, and look at these gorgeous colors, right? We've got some shimmers, we've got some mattes. These are the intense color palettes. This is the Fuji 5 Lakes. I love this. Again, I'm working on a discount for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But first of all, can we talk about the embossment of this palette? The outside of it is stunning, gorgeous. You can tell they take their packaging very seriously. They want every aspect of this to be beautiful. It is risen up, it's embossed. It's got the feel of every touching word of this. Like, it's so pretty. But then the prettiness doesn't stop, because then you open it, it has a gorgeous palette mirror and the color story. It is so beautiful. It's easy to think this is a lot of blues, but that's just because of the background. There's actually some good reds here, golds and yellows. Then we do have obviously the blue family with a punch of orange here. This is so pretty. Guys, this was a lot of palettes, and these are where I've ended up with my new palettes for 2024. Do you have any of these palettes? Do you have any recommendations for 2025? Let your girl know, because I'm really loving the new stuff I'm bringing in, but I also have to realize, what am I using, what am I not? Again, stay tuned and be subscribed for an upcoming declutter organization style video, because something's gotta happen in that drawer. But this is everything that I didn't even realize I had for 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends.